Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars. SoundCartel. When a customer first sees or hears you, they're already making up their mind about you. So make sure that your first impression counts. From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. You don't get a second chance with a first impression. Sounds obvious, right? Well, Milton Collins, principal of the Action Business Coach, says it doesn't stop there. You've always got to be on your game when it comes to customer service and deliver a memorable experience. He lays it all out in his new book, Delight, Disrupt, Deliver. Grow your business using the power of small surprises. So, how do you make a good and memorable impression? Milton Collins explains to Chris Ashmore.
1, smile. Basic stuff. Smile, look as though you're pleased to see someone, be it online, be it on the telephone even. If you smile, it changes your whole voice and the way you present. But also, be welcoming and be interested. Be interested in the people you're speaking to. There's nothing worse than if you ring somewhere or you walk into a shop or a restaurant and they treat you as though you're interfering, you're in the way, they're busy doing something else. And really, it should always be all about the customer. And ask lots of questions, be interested in them.
What can bad customer service cost a business?
It can cost you your business. It's so important to be actually looking after either your clients or your customers, because that's the lifeblood of your business. And if you're not excelling with that, then your competitors will be, or you're going to lose them. For example, if I'm using a business, be a tradie, I don't know if they're a good plumber or a good carpenter, but I know how they treat me. I know if they make the effort. I know if they give me feedback. There's nothing better than a tradie who's been to, say, my house or the farm and done some work, and on the way home, they take the time to ring me and say, this is what we've done, this is good, this is finished, this is not. And it's easy with mobile phones to do that, but how many do that type of thing? It's that extra little thing that you don't expect that impresses.
Mm-hmm. Well, with many other competitors out there, of course, it's important to be memorable amongst them all with your customers. How do you suggest businesses make themselves memorable to customers?
Communication. It's all about communication and thinking about what the customer or client wants, not about yourself. So it's so important to try and understand what they want. And the way to understand is ask them. Ask them what they want. Try and find out what their pain points are and provide a solution.
Any examples of companies that are doing customer service well?
Often, Chris, when I think about that, not often. I find, and sure, I'm critical and expect a lot, but so often I just see ordinary service, led by the Telstras, the banks especially, just appalling. It just goes on, that our supposed leading companies just stuff up customer service totally. One example I saw recently was actually Dan Murphy. A friend of mine ordered some Dan Murphy. They had it delivered out into the country. They were 30 k's from the store. Only part of the order arrived. So they rang up to let them know. They got someone really good on the phone. She said, look, we're really sorry. I'll have the rest of the order there in half an hour. And she did. Now, this friend of mine did not expect that at all. But how many people has he told about Dan Murphy and the fabulous service there? So that's the sort of thing. It's things you don't expect, the small little things. Well, that's quite big actually, driving the country. That makes a difference.
Interested in startup culture or an entrepreneur yourself, perhaps? Then you will love the history of the Australian startup ecosystem, a new podcast series that examines the rich history of Australian startups. Be inspired by guests like Tim Fung, founder of Airtasker, Daniel Flynn, founder of Thank You, Cameron Adams, co-founder of Canva, and the founders of VCs, Blackbird and Square Peg. Follow the history of the Australian startup ecosystem wherever you listen to podcasts. The link is also in the show notes of this episode.
It's important to understand what customers think about you. How do you suggest getting feedback?
Just ask. Ask, have you done what they've requested? Are they happy with the service? What else could you have done to make it better? And that to me is the most important question. What else could we have done to make what we've done for you more important, more memorable, or made your life easier? Because those little things really make a difference. I also do surveys, although most of us hate surveys. If you are going to do a survey, make sure you can tick the boxes, because no one's got time or can be bothered really writing out. But I do ask for testimonials. And testimonials, I think, are the most powerful thing for a business to use. Because if you've got reliable testimonials that are real, that people believe, that is the best credibility for your business.
And where do you put those testimonials?
Facebook, on your website, Google. I send a Google link to my customers to make it easy. All I have to do is click on the link and do a testimonial. Make it easy for them. I've had clients raving about my services and say, yeah, we'll give you a testimonial, but they don't get around to it. Not because they don't want to do it, they're just busy, and we all get that. But if you make it really easy for them, it'll happen.
What are some of the biggest mistakes people make in sales?
They make the sales about them. They're so obsessed about selling their product or their service, they forget to find out what the client wants. To me, the most important thing is to, one, establish a relationship, even if it's brief, because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So if you can establish that rapport, that will get you sales in the future and instantly. It's also important to find out what their pain points are or what you can provide as a solution for them. Not what you're trying to sell them, what solution you can provide. And if you can provide that solution, then they're keen to work with you.
Now, you've been in business for many years. What would you say is different today about customer service and customer expectations than in the past?
I think because we see such poor service from the large businesses that I've already mentioned, and it annoys the hell out of us. No one likes it. Everyone's got a Telstra story or a bank story, and you very rarely hear anything. And I can't believe they don't bother to address that. I understand it's a numbers game, but if they could impress people more, then the cost and the price is not the issue. And that's what I think about with business too. If you can provide a great service, communicate well, then the price or cost is not the important part. It's about that attention to detail and the service. And I think people expect it more, but rarely get it. So when you do offer that, you really stand out.
And has COVID changed people's expectations?
I think, yes, people now want to deal locally. They want to look after the community. And I think that's a really strong point. I'm passionate about that, have been for years, about if I go to a region, I want to eat and drink food from that region. When I was down at Taxi Kitchen, I changed the whole wine list to Victorian only. Because in that location, and we're a high-end restaurant, we don't need to serve international wines. And as a result, Tourism Victoria jumped on board. Melbourne Food and Wine Festival had their Legends dinner with us. They gave us a chef to cook there for nothing. And all the wineries started coming there. And I said to them, if I don't see you in the restaurant, if you don't hold your functions here, your wine won't last. And they said, yep, we get it. There's so few restaurants. In fact, there's no restaurant in Melbourne that specialises only in Victorian wines. And I made sure I had wine from every region and the best of, but also some ordinary ones too. It didn't matter. It was show what Victoria could do. And that, to me, made a big difference.
That was Milton Collins, Principal at the Action Business Coach. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.